So this major whistleblower story going around turned out to be a hoax, complete fabrication. Not only that, it was a hoax that was aided by AI. You really cannot make this stuff up. First, the story. You may have heard about it, but here is a quick refresher. This so-called whistleblower posted this on Reddit. I'll put it on the screen and read the highlights for you. Feel free to pause it and read it for yourself, the whole thing. It has since been removed by the mods on Reddit because they found out that it was fake. Okay, let's take a look at this obviously AI written post from Reddit. I'm posting this from a library Wi-Fi on a burner laptop because I am technically under a massive NDA. I don't care anymore. I put in my 2 weeks yesterday, and honestly, I hope they sue me. I've been sitting on this for about 8 months just watching the code getting pushed to production, and I can't sleep at night knowing I helped build this machine. Okay. Fanfic, here we go. You guys always suspect the algorithms are rigged against you, but the reality is actually so much more depressing than the conspiracy theories. First off, the priority delivery is a total scam. It was pitched to us as a psychological value add. Like I said in the title, when you pay that extra $2.99, it changes a Boolean flag in the order JSON. But the dispatch logic literally ignores it. It does nothing to speed you up. We actually ran an A/B test last year where we didn't speed up the priority orders. We just purposely delayed non-priority orders by 5 to 10 minutes to make the priority ones feel faster by comparison. Management loved the results. We generated millions in pure profit just by making the standard service worse, not by making the premium service better. But the actual thing that makes me sick. Oh, and here's the dash, the AI dash. But the actual thing that makes me sick, and the main reason I'm quitting, is the depression score. We have a hidden metric for drivers that tracks how desperate they are for cash based on their acceptance behavior. If a driver usually logs on at 10 p.m. and accepts every garbage $3 order instantly without hesitation, the algo tags them as high desperation. Once they are tagged, the system then deliberately stops showing them high-paying orders. The logic is, why pay this guy $15 for a run when we know he's desperate enough to do it for $6? We save the good tips for the casual drivers to hook them in and gamify their experience, while the full-timers get grinded into dust. Okay, and it goes on, but it ends with, I'm drunk and I'm angry. Ask me anything before this gets taken down. This stuff sounds horrible, but remember, in today's world, corporations are the ultimate evil. When I first read this, I felt for sure there would be a class action lawsuit and we would get all of the facts, but that didn't happen. What did happen was that a real journalist sniffed out that this was a fake, an elaborate hoax assisted by AI. And also, the debunking may have been assisted by AI too. Fantastic. Now, DoorDash CEO Tony Zhu condemned the behavior very early. He's basically said that if anyone from his company did something like this, they'd be fired ASAP. This is not DoorDash, he said, and I would fire anyone who promoted or tolerated the kind of culture described in this Reddit post. We are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we work every day to make our platform better for everyone who comes to it. What's described here is appalling, and if true, whoever is operating in this manner should be ashamed. Used his whole chest for that one. Now, this alleged whistleblower posted on our confessions, and an NBC reporter reached out to the email attached to the account for proof. The poster demanded proof that the NBC reporter was who they said they were. So the NBC reporter sent them this badge. Aha! Later, that same poster used that same image, but doctored, to prove that they worked at Uber Eats. Now, this is what NBC writes. The Verge and Platformer, which both reported having been given the fake badge photo, ran it through Google's Gemini and found a synth ID watermark identifying it as having been generated or edited by Google AI. It's actually really reassuring that they caught that. I'm kind of relieved. A spokesperson for Uber confirmed to NBC News that there are no Uber Eats employee badges and that the company does not do what is alleged in the Reddit post or in any of the documents shared by the user. When NBC News tried to follow up with the Reddit user, their Signal and email accounts appeared to have been deleted. The user did not respond to a follow-up Reddit message. Now, Uber Eats denied that it was them. Completely denied. Andrew McDonald, president and chief operating officer of Uber. The post is Definitively not about us. I suspect it is completely made up. Don't trust everything you read on the internet. But the people did not believe him. He said, no, we don't believe you, sucker. And STFU, anyone that has work gigs for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and Grubhub is wise to your bullshit. The real problem is nobody thinks that it's fake. Can you tell us why that is, Andrew? And that's because we live in this tech oligarchy where people are just doing gigs in this gig economy and constantly getting screwed, while these billionaires who run it are making hundreds of millions, billions of dollars off of their backs. So the system seems rigged against them, even if this particular case was a hoax. It was true, but it wasn't factual. You know what I mean? That's not even half of it. So it would seem as though this was revealed as a hoax, but was there any evidence to support what the whistleblower said? Well, they sent evidence to this reporter, this man by the name of Casey Newton, who runs Platformer. This document was supposed to be an internal company memo from Uber Eats, but get this, it was completely faked. Look at this thing. If you didn't know what you were looking at, it seems legit, but once you start reading through it and read through it carefully, the mistakes come out. Now, people in the industry can point out where the mistakes are. And maybe this person was hoping that the reporters just would not be that familiar and they could get it through another step in their deception. Casey Newton writes in his Platformer article, which I will link at the bottom, I wish I could tell you that I immediately clocked this document as fake. The truth is that it initially fooled me, laden with charts, diagrams, and mathematical formulas. The document closely resembled many AI-related papers that I have read, and perhaps half understood over the past few years. I lacked the technical knowledge to discern that, as plausible as it may have looked in some places, the document was nonsense. And the longer I read, the more outrageous the document got. It ends by saying the company is exploring the use of Apple Watch data to identify drivers in states of distress who may be willing to accept worse payouts. It also proposes listening to them via their phones' microphones to detect ambient vehicle noise, crying, arguments, to infer emotional states and adjust offer pricing accordingly. In my state of wishful thinking, it looked like a smoking gun. I shared the document he sent me with a former ride-sharing company engineer I know, and he pointed out various mistakes the whistleblower had made. Companies just don't talk like this or work this way, he explained. They run experiments and describe their findings in narrowly focused documents. They do not outline sinister plans for human exploitation and regulatory evasion in writing. Of course not. The FTC would be all over them. It says, and while no good reporter would ever have published a story based on a single document and an unknown source, plenty would take the time to investigate the document's contents and see whether human sources would back it up. And that means they're not taking the time to do other things. I'd love to tell you that, having had this experience, I'll be less likely to fall for a similar ruse in the future. The truth is that, given how quickly AI systems are improving, I'm becoming more worried. The infopocalypse that scholars like Aviv Ovadia were warning about in 2017 looks increasingly more plausible. And he links this article from BuzzFeed called Believable, the Terrifying Future of Fake News. What happens when anyone can make it appear as if anything has happened, regardless of whether it did or not? And this is by Charlie Warzel. Ovadia saw early what many, including lawmakers, journalists, and big tech CEOs, wouldn't grasp until months later. Our platformed and algorithmically optimized world is vulnerable to propaganda, to misinformation, to dark targeted advertising from foreign governments, so much so that it threatens to undermine a cornerstone of human discourse, the credibility of fact. The future, according to Ovadia, will arrive with a slew of slick, easy-to-use, and eventually seamless technological tools for manipulating perception and falsifying reality, for which terms have already been coined: reality apathy, automated laser phishing, and human puppets. We are there. 9 years later, we are there. So we've got AI helping trolls to rage bait the public now. That is so 2026. And stories like this are a reminder to never take the bait. They want you to get your blood pressure up, and you just can't let them have it. All right, you let me know in the comments, who could have done something like this? Who do you think did something like this? Was it just for shits and giggles, or was it something more sinister? We don't know, man. It could be trolls, could be bots, could be disinformation agents. Like literally anybody could be trying to get our blood pressure up. Don't you love the modern age? Thank you, and I will see you next week.